Okay, welcome. We're taking another look at Song of Solomon. We're going to take about 3 weeks to look at the next song, which is pretty long. It's the whole rest of chapter 2. It's verses 8 through 17. So what I'm going to do today is just read through it, explain each of the different parts, try to give you a feel for what the picture is here. And then very briefly today, I'll indicate how that might be metaphorical for our relationship with God. Then next week and maybe the week afterwards, I'm going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into a couple of the concepts here and how they connect with some other ideas in Scripture. But let's start by just looking at this. This is one of my favorite parts of the book. So this is part 1. We're just going to walk through the passage. Let me first of all read the whole thing so you can get a sense for the sort of the lay of the land here, and then we'll come back and look at each of the pieces. The woman sings or speaks, "Listen, my beloved. Behold, he is coming, climbing on the mountains, leaping on the hills." The idea is almost to be bounding over the hills. "My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag. Behold, he is standing behind our wall. He is looking through the windows. He is peering through the lattice. My beloved responded and said to me, 'Arise, my darling, my beautiful one, and come along.'" And then I'm going to look at what he says to her in more detail. "My beloved responded to me and said to me, 'Arise, my darling, my beautiful one, and come along. For behold, the winter is past. The rain is over and gone. The flowers have already appeared in the land. The time has arrived for pruning the vines, and the voice of the turtle dove has been heard in our land. The fig tree has ripened its figs, and the vines in blossom have given forth their fragrance. Arise, my darling, my beautiful one, and come along.' O my dove," this is still him speaking, "O my dove, in the clefts of the rock, in the secret place of the steep pathway, let me see your form, let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet, and your form is lovely. Catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that are ruining the vineyards, while our vineyards are in blossom." And then finally she responds and says, "My beloved is mine, and I am his. He pastures his flock among the lilies, until the cool of the day, when the shadows flee away. Turn, my beloved, and be like a gazelle or a young stag on the mountains of Bether." All right, let's walk through the pieces of this and see what we've got. So first of all, she says, "Listen, my beloved, behold, he is coming, climbing on the mountains, leaping on the hills. My beloved is like a gazelle or a young stag." So the picture here is think of like a mountain goat or something, of a gazelle or a young stag bounding with freedom and strength and joy, sort of bounding over the mountains, jumping from one crag on the mountain to another, from one boulder to another, from one shelf to another. The obstacles of the mountains are no obstacle to him. He's just leaping over them, and he's coming to get her. So that's the first picture is that he's like a gazelle or a young stag. And remember, at the end of the whole passage, she says, "Be like a gazelle or a young stag." So this is the picture here of his strength and his masculinity expressed in his joyful freedom and leaping over every barrier, just with joy and excitement to come and find her. And she's saying, "Listen, look, he's coming." There's a lot of excitement here, a lot of anticipation. And then we switch to a picture of him standing behind a wall and sort of calling through to her, saying, "Come out, come out." Says, "Behold, he's standing behind our wall. He's looking through the windows. He's peering through the lattice. My beloved responded and said to me, 'Arise, my darling, my beautiful one, and come along.'" So this is the picture that he wants her to come out with him. He wants her to join him. He's saying, "I've come all this way to find you. Please come out and let me see you. Come out and be with me." And so, and what he says to her is, "Arise, my darling, my beautiful one, and come along, because it's spring." So that's the next piece. "My beloved responded and said to me, 'Arise, my darling, my beautiful one, and come along, for behold, the winter is past. The rain is over and gone. The flowers have already appeared in the land." He's saying it's no longer winter, it's no longer rainy, it's bright and springy, and everything's growing and everything's blossoming, and this is the time to come outside. The flowers have already appeared in the land. The time has arrived for pruning the vines. In other words, there's growth on them now. And the voice of the turtle dove has been heard in our land. Different birds will start to sing when it's springtime. The fig tree has ripened its figs, and the vines in blossom have given forth their fragrance. So the picture here is that we've been waiting all winter. It's been kind of dreary, but spring was coming. But now he says spring is here. It's no longer a time to be waiting or hiding inside or just sort of still hoping. The time is here. The time has come. Everything is blossoming. Everything is blooming. Spring is here and the rain is over and it's all good. So he says, arise, my darling, my beautiful one, and come along. He says that at the beginning. He says that at the end. That's the point. But in the meantime, he says, because it's time, because it's springtime, because this is the season in which you should come outside with me and let's just enjoy what is out here. And then he says to her, oh, my dove, in the clefts of the rock, in the secret place of the steep pathway, let me see your form. Let me hear your voice, for your voice is sweet and your form is lovely. He was being compared to a gazelle. Now she's being compared to a dove. And he means that she is hiding. She's shy. She's timid. She's hiding in the clefts of the rock. She's hiding in the secret place of the steep pathway. And he says, don't hide. Don't be timid. Come on out. Let me see you, because your form is your voice is sweet. Your form is lovely. I want to see you. I want to hear you. I want to be with you because you're beautiful to me. And she's sort of timid, and he's coaxing her out, saying, come on out, my dove. I want to see you. And then somebody, I'm not sure whether it's him or her or both of them, they might be speaking to the chorus. They might be speaking to the audience. But whoever it is says, catch the foxes for us, the little foxes that are ruining the vineyards while our vineyards are in blossom. The idea would be that things are blooming and there'd be little foxes or animals of some kind that might be eating some of the plants and messing them up. I've heard people give lots of sermons on this, talking about marriage and saying we need to be really careful to watch out for the little things that can go wrong with a marriage. And I think that's appropriate, but don't miss the point here. In the context of the whole passage, this is not a super negative passage. He's saying catch the foxes for us, because this is the time that our vineyards are in blossom. The point of this is still that last line, while our vineyards are in blossom. Now's not the time to let any distractions or problems get in our way. Now's not the time to be weighed down by little things that would stop us from enjoying the time we have. So it's kind of again saying this is spring. It's not let's just take care of whatever's causing problems, and let's just clean them out, because we want to enjoy the blossoming vineyards. We want to enjoy the time that we have. So this is not so much a reproof to say, oh, why are you letting these foxes in, as it is an encouragement, an exhortation that let's do whatever we can to hold on to this time and make it as beautiful as it can be, because this is spring. This is the time of refreshment and being in love together. Okay. And then the last two parts of the passage, the woman speaks now, and she says two things. First, she says, my beloved is mine and I am his. He pastures his flock among the lilies until the cool of the day when the shadows flee away. And then she says, turn, my beloved, and be like a gazelle or a young stag in the mountains of Bether. So the first part is celebrating their intimacy. My beloved is mine and I am his. Up till now, she said, listen, he's coming. And then he shows up and says, come on out and join me. Don't be timid. Let's get rid of the foxes. Let's do whatever we can to enjoy the time together. And she says, my beloved is mine and I am his. So she's joined him. But the point for her isn't the spring. The point for her isn't the vineyards. The point for her is that she belongs to him and he belongs to her. The point for her is that they are together and that they belong to one another, that they love each other. And she says, he pastures his flock among the lilies until the cool of the day when the shadows flee away. Now, I think this is a really important passage because it's echoed about 2 or 3 times throughout the whole book. It keeps coming back to these metaphors. We'll see it in some more places. And it always seems to be hinting at intimacy. And it always draws on the shepherding language. He pastures his flock. To pasture your flocks, the Hebrew word means to graze your flock, to let them just to relax and rest and let them just take their fill of the grass around you. And when she says he pastures his flock among the lilies, she might mean that he's relaxing with me. We're just being together as his flock grazes. Or it's quite possible that this is a metaphor for the two of them, that he's like grazing or taking his fill of her, and that she's sort of the lily. So she is giving him all that she is, and that they are taking their fill together. It's not quite clear. Until the cool of the day when the shadows flee away. The word until could mean until. It could also mean a while. So it's not quite clear. Some people think this means when the cool of the day. We'll do this until we reach the cool of the day. And some people think it means we'll do it while it's the cool of the day. Both could be what the Hebrew means. Also, people aren't sure what the cool of the day means. It either means dawn or twilight. It either means the point is the cool part of the day is right at the beginning before it heats up and right at the end before it turns into night. And so this is either saying until evening or until morning. And it's saying while it's evening or while it's morning. The shadows flee away. If this is morning, it means that it's the cool of the day while the shadows flee away as the sun comes up. As the sun comes up, the shadows disappear and they're gone. And now there are no more shadows. Now it's day. And so this would be meaning let's be together and enjoy our time together until day breaks. But it could also mean the shadows flee away. It could mean the way that at night when the sun begins to sink, the shadows lengthen and elongate and get longer and longer and longer, sort of like they're fleeing away toward the horizon. And it could be that as it sinks into night, we're twilight, at that peaceful time just before we hit night, full night, that's what this is talking about. But either way, whatever the imagery is supposed to be, and I don't know, whatever the imagery is supposed to be, it's supposed to be a time of intimacy and peace. And the cool of the day here means, I think, that it's relaxing and comfortable and peaceful and serene, and we're together. So it's a picture of peaceful love together. And then she says, turn, my beloved, and be like a gazelle. Remember, that's how the whole thing started. Listen, he's coming, he's like a gazelle. So even though she's just had a couple of verses about I'm his and he is mine and we're together, now she's back to speaking of something. Now she's back to looking forward to his coming. So this is sort of, he's coming and then he's here and then they're together and now he's just coming again. So I think we're hitting different parts of the song. Now she's alone but longing for him. She's saying, turn, my beloved, be like a gazelle. Turn, my beloved, be like a young stag on the mountains of Bether. Unless she means that now they're together, she says, be my gazelle with me. And but in any case, the picture is intimacy, and I think here at the end, longing for this to be. So the whole thing is this excitement that he's bounding over the mountains to come and get her, that he's calling her out and saying, I want to be with you. Your form is lovely. Your voice is sweet. And then they're together. And then she says at the end, I long for that. And she says to him, please come. All right. So let me say something very briefly about this as a whole. And then next week, we'll look at a couple of other things. The picture here of human love is I think, remarkable. First of all, the picture of his love for her is expressed in terms of his joyful taking the initiative to jump over every barrier and bound over the mountains. He's excited to come and see her. She's excited to see him, and she's crying out, yes, come and turn, my beloved, and be like a gazelle, be like a young stag. And he's not reluctant at all. He's excited to see her. And so there's this love. You can see human love, romantic love here, that he is so excited to come to see her, and it gives him such joy. And he's acting out as such joy. And this is like the best picture of masculine strength that's romantic. It's not a tough, domineering kind of strength. It's a joyful, I'll conquer every obstacle with the cheerfulness for you. That's the kind of thing that's here. And she looks for that. She longs for that. She feels valued by that. And then he shows up and he calls to her, come out, come out. There's no domineering there. There's just coaxing, come on out. And he says to her as a dove, come out from the secret place in the cliffs and let me see you. Let me be with you. Let me hear your voice, because that's sweet to me. And then there's this picture of romantic love where he says, it's spring, it's time. This is our time. This is not a time to hold back. It's not a time to be still waiting. This is a time to seize the moment and be together and enjoy the spring, enjoy the blossoming, enjoy the vineyards, enjoy all of that. And then she says, I'm my beloved's and he is mine. And we have this time together where we are at peace and serene and just enjoying each other's company. And that's what I'm longing for. So it's a wonderful picture of sort of the delights of romantic love. And I do think that this has clear metaphors for our relationship with God, for Israel's relationship with the Messiah and the Messiah to come and with Jehovah, and for our relationship with the Messiah to come, who's already come once, with Jesus. We'll talk more about that next week. Next week, I want to talk particularly about the way that this might connect to the second coming, that we are waiting for Jesus, and it's as though he's bounding over the mountains to come and get us, and we're looking forward to that time. And the week after that, I'll talk about how does this possibly relate to our own personal walk with God when there are times in which this is sort of the season for us, when we reach a season of spring and winter's over. So we're going to look at both of those in the next 2 weeks. In the meantime, I hope you like this passage as much as I do. Even if I don't know what else to say about it, I just love the imagery here. I think there's something very encouraging and refreshing about it for me. I hope the same is true for you. Thanks. Goodbye.